welcome Matt Guiliano. Matt and I met, gosh, what was it? It's probably over a decade ago, right, Matt, that we met.
It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time.
We'll maybe talk a little bit about that. But Matt's joining us from Southern California, and I will kind of prep the listeners. Baseball is going to be a theme. This is not a baseball podcast, and today won't all be about baseball. But when we start to talk about baseball, there's relevancy to it because Matt's doing some amazing things with a really special program down in Southern California, and we're going to kind of highlight that today. And Matt told me about this. We like I said, we had met probably over a decade ago, and just recently we kind of reconnected. And as we were talking through some things, Matt described what he was doing down there, and I just had to have him come on this program, and hopefully we inspire somebody to do something more. So Matt, let's dive in a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about where you're from, because obviously where you're at and how you and I met. So where are you living today? You're obviously married, got some kids. Talk a little bit about your immediate family and your personal life.
Absolutely. Well, hey, first off, Jeff, thanks for having me on, man. I think what you're doing is awesome, highlighting some good stuff here. So I never thought I would be looked at as in this situation as doing anything different than just offering some baseball, but it's turned into much more. So it's been good. But yeah, for me, grew up in San Diego, down here in Southern California, born and raised. And college, I had some personal things going on. There was going down the wrong road with some friends in the wrong groups and needed to get away. And I ended up out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, trying to play baseball and soccer for University of Sioux Falls. I had my career there, bounced back, wanted to go try the whole D1 thing. And I went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, played baseball there. So I've been a baseball lifer. When I graduated, I ended up going back to Sioux Falls after an injury. Played my final season there because I knew the head coach, Luke Langenfeld, loved Sioux Falls. It was one of those things where I don't know why I kept getting back there, but I was back there. So after I was done playing, after a season of independent baseball, I was offered the head baseball coach job out at the University of Sioux Falls. Then I met my wife there, Melissa. And I was trying to get into a house. I was tired of paying rent, and that's where you came into my life. You thought outside the box creatively, and that's very much how I am. So I think we hit it off, and you were like one of the few people that actually followed through with what you said you were going to do. So very much appreciative of that. You got me into my first house. Fast forward 12 years after that, I got a head job back at my hometown at Cal State San Marcos, another baseball program, as the head coach here. And then, what was that, 6 fast years, through COVID and everything else, the Squirrels started to come involved. The COVID situation happened. Everyone knows that situation. Things got shut down. We had a lot of kids that were just bunkered up, man, and they wanted to get out and do something. And little town of Valley Center, we didn't have much going on anyways, in the hills here in North County, San Diego. And with COVID even shutting it further down, I had a lot of friends that I've made. My past relationships from when I grew up here were still in town with their kids, and our kids are all about the same age. And they were begging me to start something baseball wise. Cal State San Marcos was shut down. I couldn't do anything there. I was really working on the Little League fields, giving me something to do because there was really nobody on them. And with baseball fields, you kind of have to stay on them and work on them and play on them, and it's good for it. So I found a little bit of get out of the house, go to the Little League fields and work on them as kind of my escape. And I think people started saying, well, why don't we just get the kids together and let's do this thing, and we'll do all the safety stuff we need to do and comply and all that good stuff, because the field was ran by the city, so they were on us when things were going. But we put plans in place and we started going with some stuff. So I know we're going to dive into the Squirrel stuff a little bit, but yeah, at a high level, that's where it all started, and that's a little bit of my background. Got into some business ventures, ended up getting out of the coaching side of things at the collegiate level. Longtime friend of mine since I'm 9 years old. I've known him. Had an amazing opportunity for me, and it actually freed up more time with family and the stuff that's a little bit more important to me, especially with the 4 kids that Melissa and I do have. So, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So you have 4 kids. What are their ages?
I got Brady. He is 12. I have Cody, who is 10. I have Macy, who is 8, and then little Andy. He is turning 3 in May.
And so coming from a baseball background, and soccer too, right?
Yep.
So a high level athlete, played collegiate baseball. Sports is a big thing to you. And I think that, at what point in your life did you did you recognize early on that you had a pretty good skill set inside of baseball?
It was probably junior year of high school. Like I was always undersized. Look, I'm 5'9". When I was in high school, I was 5'6". I think I graduated at 5'6". But my junior year, I I started to notice back when the stats would and games and stuff would still get put in the newspaper. So I started to notice on some of those clippings that our coach used to put up there as like kind of targets of who we need to face and who we need to be able to compete with and those types of things. I started seeing my name with some pretty high-end names that were getting talked about, going to Stanford, going to USC, going to all these bigger programs. Back then, it was in that early 2000s, late 90s, it was Stanford, SC, and those were your powerhouse. Long Beach, the West Coast baseball was really big because it wasn't nationally social media yet, and so you didn't know about the Virginia Tech of the world unless you really saw it on a major ESPN story or something like that. So anyway, I started seeing my names up there with those guys, and I was doing just as good, and it was started to get interesting. And then all of a sudden, I started getting some phone calls and some feelers. Nothing too crazy. I think they wanted to see if I could prove it at the next level a little bit. So yeah, and I started going. So I think junior year in high school is when I started going, okay, man, I might be able to play in college. And if it wasn't for sports, I don't know if I go to college. I wasn't that into academics. I didn't have my head on that way at all at that point in my life. And it's funny when you reflect back on it and really acknowledge that. I don't know if I would have acknowledged that 10 years ago, even. I think the more I've seen this thing and the more I've had my own kids and I see their experiences, the more people I talk to, the more I just grow. I have such a growth mindset now that I was so narrow sighted on everything I was doing because I just like, you give me a task, I'm going. And with collegiate baseball and sports, it's nonstop. Everyone thinks it's like, oh, it's cool. You play your season, then you're off for 8 months. Like that's couldn't be further from the truth. It is nonstop recruiting. It is nonstop focus on, okay, I got this, my scholarship money's here. In 2 years, it's going to do this and this and that. I got my budget. I got my field. I got my admin. I got my departments. There's so much to it. And I've finally been able to step away and open up my eyesight and my sight lines on all this. And there's a lot out there. There is a lot out there. And so for me to be able to reflect back and actually acknowledge that has benefited, I think, not only my kids, but the squirrels that we're going to get into and the opportunities that I started to see, like, we need to do this a lot earlier than high school. This needs to happen earlier, and it's got to get done right. Like, this is not a money grab thing. This wasn't any of that. And I'm not trying to jump ahead on anything, but it's just, that's where it's all going to go back to, right? It's understanding that life is life and there's a lot to it. And I have not even scratched the surface of it. So I just hope to bring a little bit of a light to the kids and offer some opportunities and have some fun doing it.
So we talked about you've got the 4 kids. Are they into sports as well?
Yeah, baseball, and I am not that parent who said, I play baseball, so you have to play baseball. I actually was complete opposite. I said, I do not want to be that parent. Let's sign you up for basketball. Let's sign you up for flag football. Let's sign you up for swimming. Let's sign you up for, all these other things. And somehow still my 2 older ones are now Cody is my 10-year-old. I think he's better at soccer, but he's very good at pitching in baseball. So he loves both. I'm going to let him figure that out. I just push them to get out of the house and do things, right? It could be go build a fort outside for all I care, but they are leaning towards the sports. We are an athletic family. We do not push them into it. I've told them a couple times now, the moment you stop loving something, stop doing it. It's not worth it. So if this becomes a work or a hassle or a headache, I don't want you guys doing it. And Brady is all baseball. He's all baseball. He loves umpiring. He loves the rules. He loves paying attention. Like when he watches replays, he watches the game, and so that's kind of cool for me, just as a coach. So he's a little bit more into it. Macy, she doesn't know what she wants to do yet. She's an interesting one. She does like basketball at times, so that's kind of where she's going. And Andy will throw anything at anybody at any given time. So I don't know what he's going to do. So
So, you talked a little bit about your business, the business venture, and you've got a role that's, would you say it's somewhat demanding, correct?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm our COO. So I got all the operations. So it falls right in line. There's a lot of similarities to what I was doing to this. It's just different terminology, different business. I'm still running a team. I'm still running some things and hiring and all that good stuff. So, but yes, it's extremely demanding. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I'm kind of setting the table here too, to a degree is, you've got a job in much probably like my world where your life and your business is very blended. And I think that you're in that type of lifestyle now. 4 kids, active in sports, anyone that's had children in activities, whether it's sports, fine arts, whatever, rodeo, I don't, you name it. It's time consuming because you want to be there to support your kids. And through that, you have to really protect your time. And I will say, with Matt, early on, and maybe some of you have already have picked up on it, but Matt's very driven individual. And you alluded to it earlier about money grab. Matt's really not about money. Matt's about results. And being a coach, those are the types of traits, obviously, that would make somebody good at that. But now today, knowing that you've got really a lot of time constraints and you still found the time, and yes, maybe it happened during COVID where we had time, but things have changed. We're back to normality, and you still have a time constraint. And what's the number one excuse why most people don't do something outside of their comfort level? The number one excuse I've always heard is, I don't have time.
Yeah.
So Matt, you've made time for the VC team, right? And so I don't, we've already mentioned the squirrels, but let's dive into it, because part of it is the name is funny, your little slogan is funny, and I don't want to steal any of that thunder. So you got to tell me. So VC, so is it, it's Valley Central, correct?
Valley Center. Yeah.
Valley Center. I'm sorry. So Valley Center. So tell, like, where give the audience here a little. Where is that at? How did you come up with the name? And I'm going to tell you right now, just kind of go with that story, because I don't need to get in. The story's great.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, especially the time thing. I've made it a priority, and I hate when I hear I don't have time. It's more prioritizing. So sorry, I'm gonna get back on that, but that is important to me. So okay, the Squirrels, Valley Center Squirrels. Valley Center is in North County. When Valley Center it's starting to boom a little bit with housing. I think people have seen an opportunity to build houses up there, and home prices out in Southern California are ridiculous as it is. So it's growing population wise, but a lot of stuff like facilities wise, the space, it's not, I mean, it's mountains, it's hills. It's not like San Diego that you see on TV or anything like that. We're North County. Yes, we're in San Diego County, but it's North County. And when I was going to high school, we were referred to as the Hicks of San Diego, because we're out in the country. And we have license plates that say Valley Center Country Living and all this good stuff. So, but we are very up and running up there. There's a bunch of casinos up that way a little bit with the reservations and all that going on too. But Valley Center's never had anything big, right? So when I grew up there, I played on travel teams. I played on 2 or 3 different travel teams at a time, just depended on the time of the year. But I had to go to Encinitas, it's a 45-minute drive. I had to go to Carlsbad, another 45-minute drive. I had to go down to downtown San Diego, it's another 45-minute drive. I mean, so we had to go places to find these games and find the competition and the commitment level, right? Little League, I love Little League. So I want to make this extremely clear. Like the only way you are allowed to play with the Squirrels is if you played Little League. So if you don't play Little League in Valley Center, you weren't going to play Squirrels. So that was a prereq for us. So I love Little League. I do not like, this doesn't even make any sense, but I don't even like travel ball. I hate the travel ball world. I hate the model. I hate all of that. So we wanted to offer something a little different. We wanted to offer, I didn't want to hear a kid say, well, I can't afford it. How much is it? I didn't want those things coming up at all. I just get them here. we operated, I think we charged anybody who knows the travel world in any sport for a full year commitment. It was $500. It's $500. And all that was just so I had a commitment. That was it. That was the only reason. And I dumped everything back to the kids. I got them 2 different jerseys. I bought them a couple different pants. I get them all their belts, all their socks. I got 2 different colored practice shirts because we like to be uniformed and we get held accountable. So we teach accountability on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They wear their tan practice jersey. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday stuff. If we ever do weekend workouts or community service, pick up trash, all those different things, they wear their brown. So they have to be in the right colors on everything that we do. I got them shorts. I got them shoes. I got them multiple hats. Way more than the $500. And we operated this thing off of like, I don't want to hear the excuse that you don't have money. Like, don't even, and we still had 2 or 3 kids that didn't even pay me $500. It was just we'll figure it out. Let's go. And they decided they can help organize some other things, do some fundraiser stuff and take care of it that way. So I'm all up about that. And it goes back to that very first part of getting creative and thinking outside the box. And how can we do this? How do we make this thing work? And how do we give the kids an experience that I never had in Valley Center and nobody's ever had in Valley Center? There's another guy, Kyle Lopez, and I got to give him a shout out because his mindset is the exact same. He just has the older kids, and he was trying to do it and trying to get it going. And then I think when the whole COVID thing happened that we alluded to earlier, that gave us an opportunity to, okay, let's do it. And we met and we talked about some things. The very first season, we actually tried to be the Jaguars. That's our high school team. We thought it would be a town thing. I never felt great about it. There's no Jaguars in Valley Center. Like, being a baseball person and a sports person in general, I can't stand when people name their teams after something that doesn't make any sense. So it's just like, I'm okay. What is in Valley Center? What do we have around here? I start looking around. I'm literally outside my back. I'm looking at my patio and I'm watching. I'm going, okay, what's out here? We got coyotes. No, there's too many coyotes. Like, I don't want to be coyotes. And then there's some rabbits. I know the rabbits. And yes, I did say those 2 on purpose because you're in South Dakota and you got the jackrabbits and you got the yotes. But anyway, but they are in Valley Center, both of them. So I start looking around, I'm seeing it, and I go, these damn squirrels. And it was gophers and squirrels. And I'm sitting there looking at this, I don't want to be the gophers. And then so I saw squirrels. I'm like, okay, squirrels. And I got the Padres, they're brown and gold. I'm thinking, okay, I like the old school Padre colors a little bit better. So squirrels are brown out here, and they look raggedy, and they're just like, and I'm sitting here going, I have a bunch of kids that are like herding cats. I'm like, it's like squirrels. Like, dude, squirrels. Like, it just started to click. And I pulled my very close friends on it, and they didn't get it at all. And that made me want to do it even more because I knew it could work, and I knew it would be catchy. I knew we could come out. You look in the travel ball worlds, any sport, you see the reds, you see the blues, like the colors, like red, blue, the black, the yellow. Like, you're going to maybe see some of that stuff, but brown and gold, you're not seeing it unless you're a Padre fan. And I'm a Padre fan, unfortunately, but I am a Padre fan, and I found a way to tie it all together. So that's what we went with. And it couldn't be more fun. We have so many different plays off of Squirrels. I know you have a bus picture. You have some other things that we have. But that is going to lead me to my next point. We went with this whole thing, and the next piece beyond the money was transportation. Travel ball, it requires a lot. I mentioned it earlier. We're going to go play some teams. We got to go to San Diego. It's a 45-minute drive. Weekend tournaments. I took these guys to Arizona. I've taken them to Nevada. We've gone north. I mean, so we take some trips. And not every kid's parent can make it work. And that was another thing that came up the first year. Well, we can't get him to practice that at that time, or we have this going on. It's going to be extremely hard for my mom to be able to take him over there, or get him to Irvine, or get him, like, it's not going to work. I said, stop, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. So I started thinking, what can I do? How do I get this figured out? Carpool, I got vans, I got enough coaches, and then why don't we get a bus? And we just threw it out there. Why don't we get a bus? And somehow that came to fruition. We ended up getting a used school bus, one of the shorter ones. It seats 14. I had to take out a couple seats because I don't have the special license. And so I had to take out so it can only hold 12. And that makes me legal. We bought this school bus. I have in my business world, I have a client who does signs, wraps, and graphics. I had some sponsorships through some of our team parents, and we got the bus wrapped. And I'll make sure I get you some pictures on those, and you'll see it. That thing has been so fun. Getting the kids on the first time. I haven't told this to anybody, but I'll be vulnerable for a second. I got a little teary-eyed. I ain't gonna lie. I got a little emotional. We were driving up the hill going through Paula, and all the kids were in the back singing their songs, doing their thing, what teams normally do, but they don't usually get to do it until high school or college. And some don't ever get to do it if they don't make it that high. These kids, some of them won't ever play in high school. I mean, I hope they do, but they might not. And that's okay. I gave these kids an opportunity to get something that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to. And that's when I knew this is right. Like this feels right. What else can we do? And then I got fired up. Let's do it all. And so now I'm taking a Valley Center team that normally has never had baseball before, like outside of Little League before 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And we're going to go to Cooperstown. I'm going to take them out to Cooperstown this summer, and we're doing all the fundraising. We just did a wiffle ball tournament. I think we had over 32 teams in this wiffle ball tournament. That none of this stuff happens, and that's the message that I want to get out. Is like, all it takes is action. Stop saying you don't have time. Stop saying all. It's an excuse. That's all it is. It's what are your priorities? And my priorities shifted when I got out of the college game and I was able to open it up. My priority shifted to how could I help? And I see the kids and I see how much fun they have with being on the Squirrels, and they're good kids. Every single one of them are on their little academic honor roll stuff, and that's what we take pride in. We take pride in picking up the trash if it's not ours, making sure things are picked just better than when we got there. I mean, anything we can do, we go around the community, we help with things, we try. We all, like this weekend we're doing a car wash as a deal, and it's all just going to go back to the kids. Like everything we do goes back to these kids, and we have an amazing community who supports everything. And we have my first year, I had 11 kids, and I pulled teeth to get the 12th one to come out. Last year, 3 years later, last year we had over 75 kids come and want to try out, wow. And I felt awful when I didn't have the space. Like I felt awful. Like I was just like, dude, these kids want to play, and that's the next step. How can I get enough coaches that can do this right and offer these kids the experience, the same experience? We had one team of 11, like I said, we pulled teeth to get to 12. Last year we sponsored 3 full time, and so we had 12, 12, and 12, so we had 36 playing. And like I said, I had over 75 come out, but we didn't want to have the coaches, and then the teams, the number of kids on the teams wouldn't have made sense. So it's not like it's a cutthroat. You didn't make the team, you can't play. It's not that at all. It's just I don't have the help. I don't have the at some point, Jeff, unfortunately, I don't make that much money where I can pay everybody to be there. But man, that would be amazing. That would be amazing if we can keep costs down, not have to make the kids pay. Like I'm not going to charge the kids $3,000 and then charge them another $200 a month to just pay for a coach. Like that, I don't want to do. So that's why I've stayed away from that. Could I blow it up and become an organization? 100%, no doubt in my mind. Could I turn it into a business even? 100%, no doubt in my mind. But that is absolutely not the route I want to go. I'm trying to offer something that's affordable, makes sense, has fun, doesn't get wrapped up in the travel ball competitive stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I love winning. And my Squirrels, we were awful. My first year, we were 1-13. Technically, I could say the Jaguars were 1-13 because we weren't the Squirrels yet. But that same group of kids, fast forward a couple years, we go to Vegas, we win that tournament. We go to that was our first one. And now all of a sudden the kids are like, okay. And then you saw it. And there wasn't one tournament last year we didn't go to the championship game. We either won or lost the tournament. In different brackets. We didn't always end up in the gold bracket, but the brackets we ended up getting seeded out into. And we're not the best team out there. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But my kids find a way to win. And I 100% stand behind is the fact that they have the chemistry. They have way more built in to what they have than what these other groups are, where you have to go try out, go fly, try out for a team, go join a tournament. There's no chemistry there. Yes, there's kids, they're having fun, they're doing their thing. And you know what? That is for some people. I'm not going to hate on those people who want to go do that. It's just not Valley Center. That's not what we do. It's not the Squirrels are the Squirrels. When we go places, we pull up in our team bus. People are taking videos of us. We're like these kids are like, coach, that kid's video or he's videoing us. He wants to take a picture with us. Like, how cool is that? The kid's
Right.
11 years old and he's like, why are they filming us? Like it's just it's like it's so cool to see, and they eat up all of it. It's fun, man, and I love it. I can talk about the Squirrels all day long. I just think there's so much more to it, but and we're just scratching the surface, man. I want to get this thing and I want to offer more kids. I don't want to turn kids away. If a kid comes out in Valley Center and it's all hometown kids, I've had other towns ask, can we come over? I like what you're doing. Can we come over? The answer is no. It's Valley Center kids first, and unless it's a situation where I only have 10 Valley Center kids and the only way to play that season is to add a couple more, well then yeah, I'll do that. But unfortunately, I don't have enough coaches. We don't have the funds to make it that big. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and it's interesting. It is very. I want to keep costs down. I want to do things right, and I want to give them a good experience.
And talking through that too, and I'll post a picture of it, but you were able to go to a really popular glove maker. You'll see the Major League Baseball players wear number 40, the 44 glove company, and you were able to get in touch with them. And from what you can see in the picture, it looks like they got their own gloves in the team colors and their name on the glove. And I imagine that's a glove they get to keep then, with their name on it. And so they basically get a free glove and anyone that's played baseball or softball or anything like that, these gloves last a long time if you take care of them. And what a special memory that is too. And none of that stuff happens. If you just look at this from a 10,000, as you were describing this, not just weeks ago, but when you just today, I'm thinking like the amount of jerseys and all of the stuff that you provide for a $500 commitment, like what they get. So you mentioned that this is funded by, is it parents, or have you gone out and found other companies to do this? Like what's been your main means of funding other than having the kids go do fundraising?
Fortunate enough to have a couple of the parents that like one's a contractor, so City Builders is one of our sponsors. We have another real estate agent group and some mortgage company stuff that we able to have. Heroes and Homes is a sponsor. HTB is a sponsor. Anaya Construction is a sponsor. Those are all parents that have companies and have some things. And with cost, to be in all fairness, Jeff, and I wouldn't feel right if I didn't say this, the $500 has been there. Some of the parents actually wanted to up it, which was interesting as well. The parents that were asking like, what else can we do, or what can we get, or where can we go, and can we play some more games? I said, we can play more. Just this is the situation. I have one very partner in crime on this thing with Andy Bilodeau. He's been pushing me like, dude, stop eating the cost, stop, like you're going to burn it out and this is going to go away. And you got to see, he's a business guy, right? He's another Miniger. He also owns a company. He's also one of our sponsors, but he also helps coach. And it's just interesting how the community comes together. Once they saw it, it was a no-brainer. The $500 entry at the very beginning was just so there was no excuses. And because I was tired of hearing like, I can't play, it's too much. Like kids were telling me that like, how can a kid not be able to play a sport because they can't afford that? That's ridiculous. And it's just like, what are we doing? So things have got things move around. It just depends what they want to do. Like Cooperstown's expensive. That trip, but the memories and everything, the commitment behind it, the moms are all helping. Like, it's funny, I threw out a text to our team chat. I said, hey, death, taxes, and moms wanting to get things done. So all things certain. So it's just, yeah, man, they've been on a mission to make this thing happen because I brought it to them. And again, they've never heard of it. They didn't know about it. I just knew about it because I was in the baseball world. Anybody who doesn't know about it, look it up. Look at the Cooperstown tournament. That thing is insane. And just fees alone, I I got to imagine it's a good experience. I'm not going to question their fees, but it is over roughly $20,000 just for fees.
Sure.
Just for fees. Forget the flights, forget everything else, and we're going to take them to New York. We're going to show them around. We're going to go watch a Yankee game, all that good stuff. So that's kind of what we're fundraising for right now. But as far as all that stuff, I mean, we just want to keep it cheap. And if costs naturally are going to go up, you get inflation, you get those things, but we are by far cheaper than anyone I've heard of out there. So.
Matt, God bless you for doing all of this stuff. It's without people with the hearts, the commitment, but the vision of what this is too, without that, none of this stuff happens. And the one thing that stands out to me, it was something that we had talked about weeks ago, is you said, I wish I had this when I was young, and not just because I wanted to play the baseball thing, but the way that you're coaching them. You're not throwing the bat, you're not using foul language, you don't argue calls, you don't argue, balls and strikes, all those types of things, where it's like you're a baseball player, and you're teaching them so many more things in life. And we just had a guest on by the name of Chad Harlander, who does a football camp, and it's about character, and it's way beyond football, and this is way beyond baseball. You're teaching kids something that they'll use for the rest of their life, way beyond sports. Even when you said, that maybe they won't go play high school baseball, you hope they do, but if they don't, they still have a foundation that you've instilled into them on how to be a good sportsman, how to be a good human being, putting in time, committing to something, and raising funds. They have to go in and be a part of it in order for that money to show up. And you've created something so special that, once again, I just had to have you come on and share it. So to kind of wrap this up, we'll run out of time here pretty soon. But what do you expect to see? Like, where does this go from here? What are your thoughts?
The next piece to this is kind of backfilling and then creating that foundation. We laid it. I think the expectations are there. Like, if you're a Squirrel, we don't walk across the field pregame. You touched on some of those things, and I'm glad you touched on those, because I get all excited about the Squirrels, right? And I forget the inner workings. We decided to read Heads Up Baseball this year as a team. So before the practices would start, we would read a chapter, go over it. What does it mean to you? It gives me an insight on how they learn, how they're picking up things, and how to communicate with them. I tell parents as well, like, if you guys have questions about playing time, ask your kids. All your kids know on where things are at and what they need to do to play. If they don't, then that's my fault, and then let's talk. But when it comes to that stuff, we have the kids very involved in those things, so they know exactly where they're at, and the work ethic is there, and the expectations on where things are. But future-wise, I think we have a good plan. Like, what did they need to know at 9 years old? What did they need to know at 10 years old? So now we have like a ladder system, right? There's like expectations at each level. There's like check marks. Like, by the time you're 10, you should be able to do this with the Squirrels. By the time you're 11, this is the next step. This is what you should know. And then hopefully this thing starts to catch up to the high school route, right? And then now the Valley Center baseball program in general, they know what they're getting. They know they're going to know how to bunt. They know they're going to know how to hustle. They're going to be good character kids. They're going to be high academic kids. They're going to be very respectful. They're not going to be yelling at umpires. Their body language is going to be in check. There's no throwing helmet. There's just respect and that integrity. And if I could be any part of that in instilling that to a kid, come on. There's nothing better than that. And so it's just like, I'm just trying to do my little part now. Like I said, my blinders and my focus has been they're off and they're open. And how can we make this better? And shoot, if there's anybody out there that has any recommendations, I'm open. Like, my pride is at the door with this thing. I just want to create a very good experience and a positive experience. And hopefully we develop some good kids as they get older, and whatever they do. We just had a conversation. I had a Little League game that I was helping out with 2 days ago. I said, I don't care if you're a janitor. I don't care if you're a CEO. I don't care if you're selling hot dogs in a stadium. Be the best. Focus on what you're doing. Pay attention to details. The little things matter. Be respectful and commit. And you can't go wrong. So in anything you're going to do in life, just commit and stop saying you don't have time. It's a priority thing. Just put your priorities in order and check yourself sometimes. So we talk about that with the kids all the time. They say, "Oh, I didn't have time to get that done." You didn't have time, or you chose not to do it. What else did you do? And we talk through that. We have hard conversations sometimes with these kids. So again, like you said, something I wish I had earlier would have benefited me a little bit more, I think. So
Sure. Well, Matt, we appreciate you coming on. You're doing great work, and we hope that you keep it up. And I hope this inspires people to do something more than what they're doing today. So I want to say thank you, and keep up the good work.